Today was Friday, and Alex sat in a cafe, lost in memories. He rarely visited this city after serving in the military. He had studied at the university here, lived in a dorm, and had numerous casual romantic flings, though he never married. After finishing his studies, he returned to his hometown. He quickly found a job downtown, starting as an engineer in the planning department, gradually gaining experience and moving up the corporate ladder. By the age of 38, he had become the chief engineer of the company. That's when his business trips began to solve production issues in the city where he had studied. During these trips, he met old friends who still lived there. Many held positions of responsibility and were burdened with families. His female friends had grown up, gotten married, and were not keen on rekindling past connections. But there was one friend, Vince, with whom he had shared a room in the dorm and skipped lectures, and they both courted girls. After their studies, Vince settled in this city, managed to buy a 2-bedroom condo, and lived alone, dating various women without rushing into marriage. During a meetup, Vince told Alex, "I haven't had my fill of fun yet. There's no rush, and I'll find you a girlfriend too. Is that necessary? All the women our age are either already married or want to get married, and the young ones won't even look at us. Why would they want old guys? Oh, Alex, we don't need the young ones, but married women. They've lived with their husbands and realized they made a mistake, but they don't want to divorce and would gladly dive into a small, no-strings-attached affair. And if the husband catches her, he catches her, not you. You can always say you didn't know she was married. Don't worry, I have a friend, Vanessa, and when her husband is away on business, I meet her. She also has a married friend, 2 kids. According to Vanessa, her friend's husband often takes the kids to his mom's place in the country, a 3-hour drive, and she stays home alone on weekends." Just today, Vince returned to this issue. He sent Vanessa a text, and 5 minutes later, she replied. See, Vanessa's husband leaves on business trips on Friday, and her friend's husband drives the kids to the country. She suggested meeting with her and her friend, starting at a cafe and then moving to her place. And I'm giving you my bachelor pad. What do you think of the offer? I don't know. She has kids. Should I be breaking up a family? Listen, since when did you become so scrupulous? I've never dated married women. Or maybe they just didn't tell me. Maybe, but I didn't know. And now I do. A text chime. Vince read it out. She writes, "Let your friend come to the cafe a bit earlier, half an hour, and take a table in the corner near the window." Well, have you decided? All right, I'll go to this, let's say date, but something's off here. What scares you? Why did your friend's husband leave on a business trip on Friday? And what does it matter to me? The main thing is that he's not there and will only be back on Monday after lunch. It's always been this way. In the end, I'll say I didn't know she was married. Let them sort it out themselves. Right, he lay in his marital bed and didn't see a pile of men's clothes in the house. So she said that it's left from her ex-husband, and you'll break up a family. The kids are at your Vanessa's place. Not yet, but I'll try to have them. And how will it feel to look at your own child from the sidelines? Alex, you have some strange torment. Basically, you understand everything. Be at the cafe half an hour before we arrive. Alex took a table and waited for Vince and his lady friends. There was half an hour left. It was unclear why he had to come earlier. Perhaps Vanessa's friend was already here and watching him. The place was not crowded, although it was Friday evening. Alex carefully surveyed the room, trying to figure out who might be observing him. At that moment, an attractive man with an athletic build entered the cafe with 2 kids, a girl about 13, 14 years old, and a boy 10, 11 years old. They looked around and sat at Alex's table. Alex politely said, "Excuse me, these seats are taken. I'm waiting for some friends. They'll be here soon." The man politely replied, "Don't worry. Emma, buy yourself and Ethan some ice cream and soda, okay? Here's some cash." And turning to Alex, he continued, "My wife is still at home, maybe already meeting with Vanessa, and they'll come here in half an hour. By then, I'll be gone with the kids. Are you saying I have a date with your wife?" "Yes, and you know about it. It all happened by chance. Vanessa has been telling my wife all week that it would be good to have a lover to intensify her feelings in the marriage and strengthen our bond. I'm sorry, I don't see the logic. How can an affair strengthen family ties? I don't get that either. To me, it's clear such behavior is a betrayal. If something's wrong in the family, you should just sit down and talk it out, figure it out, not look for solutions in someone else's bed. Then Alex remembered Vince's advice and said, "Honestly, I didn't even know I had a date with a married woman. If I had known, I wouldn't have agreed to it. Listen, let's switch to first names. What's yours?" "Alex." "I'm Patrick, Nicole's husband, father of Emma and Ethan." The kids approached. Patrick said, "Emma, there's an empty table by the window. Sit there, it's free anyway." The children obediently moved to the next table. Patrick continued, "We were supposed to be driving to the country, but I changed plans. We went to the movies, saw a kids flick, and came here. Basically, I came to see if my wife would actually go through with cheating. How will you know if she shows up, then she's decided to? Not necessarily. If a friend just says, 'Let's go to the cafe, sit down,' and she goes along without suspecting I'm waiting here, then realizing it, she should just leave. And honestly, I don't get why two married women go to a cafe without their husbands. They get all dolled up, put on makeup to be eye-catching. The question is for whom? The husbands are at home, to attract someone at the cafe or bar. But guys who pick up women there are only after no-strings-attached sex. Well, if they really hit it off, they might keep seeing each other. Assuming the guy's single, and she's not married, or maybe both are married, then all this will lead to divorce, and ultimately the collapse of their families. They are unlikely to create new families. Why do you think they won't create anything? Because in the beginning, there might be something. But then, everyday life and routine will cool the feelings, and they'll start cheating on each other until everything falls apart. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. Despite my age, I was never married. I didn't have time. Well, it's clear that I'm not a monk. I meet women, but they are unmarried. And you never thought that they want to get married? The warmth of a family, children? No, I never thought about that. What's the ultimate goal of today's meeting for you? If I see that she knew and came to this meeting consciously, I will divorce her, take the kids. How will you find out? They'll arrive soon. If she doesn't leave the cafe alone within 20 minutes, it will only mean that she came here consciously. Tell me, did you follow her? No, I always trusted her. So where did you learn about this date? I didn't find out about it, that Vanessa cheats, her husband Brian did. He asked our tech-savvy friend to set it up so he could see the texts sent and received by her. Vince quite detailedly wrote her what he wants, briefly so that she would bring her friend to a date with you, also options for meeting. I understand Brian is also here in the cafe, right? Correct. He didn't go on a business trip, but he's not in the cafe. In general, my friend and I have to wait for trouble. No, there will be no scenes. Just while she is enjoying herself in the cafe, Brian will gather her things. By the time they go home to Vanessa's place, the locks in the apartment will be changed. In any case, her husband will inform her by text when she can come for her stuff. And how does he see her if he's not here? He has an app that tracks her location. I see, it's hard to be a Casanova nowadays. I have a request, don't tell anyone because everything related to Vanessa is handled by her husband, and I promise not to interfere. He has already made a decision but delayed its implementation until the issue that arose with my wife showing up is resolved. And what will you do? Very simple. I'll move into my son's room within a week, find a place, take the kids, and we'll leave her. Sorry, we need to go. And where are you waiting for the result? Over there in the parking lot. From there, you can clearly see this table. That is, the text about this table. Did you send it? No, not me, Vanessa's husband. Vanessa doesn't know that you were invited half an hour earlier at her request. Patrick left the cafe with the kids. Alex thought generally he assumed today would be light flirting and maybe even casual sex. But it was clear if everything turned out, then two families would collapse, one with children. Although he had nothing to do with it, maybe he could talk about this with Vince. The point is, Vanessa's family will definitely fall apart, and it seems it can't be stopped anymore. Patrick had made a good impression on him. Everything was laid out clearly and logically. Alex probably wouldn't want to live with a woman who cheats on him either. And interestingly, he didn't want a scene. He could have waited for his wife and made one. And the guy seemed solid. And the time had come. The cafe door opened, and Vince entered with a woman. The woman looked well-groomed, her eyebrows and lashes nicely done, her hands well cared for. She was in a beige pantsuit that flatteringly emphasized her figure. A gold chain with a charming pendant worn over her blouse caught the eye. Alex thought, who is this, Vanessa or Nicole? But he decided it was probably Vanessa. Nicole would come later. Vince showered her with compliments, approached the table where Alex sat and introduced her. "Good evening. Meet Veronica. Very pleased, Alex. Have you ordered anything?" "No, I just had a cup of coffee, but I was told that you would be with a friend." "Sorry, her friend couldn't make it to the cafe today, but I think we'll go to Vince's place. I'll call her. She'll rush over." And her husband, the husband with the kids, went to the country. Vince suggested, "What are we sitting here for? Let's go to my place in the condo complex, pop in, grab some bourbon, chocolates. Girls can also pick up some champagne, cold cuts, a lemon." Patrick and the kids sat in the car and saw Vanessa enter the cafe with a man, but no matter how they looked, Nicole did not appear. He told the kids, "That's it, we're going home." He started the car and they drove to the house. It was dark in the apartment windows. They went up to their floor. Patrick opened the door with his key. It was dark in the entryway. He flipped on the light and went into the living room. There, in a robe, in front of a coffee table by the TV, sat Nicole. On the table was a single glass, a bottle of white wine, and some chocolates. She looked surprised at her husband and children and asked, "What, you didn't go?" "We went to the cinema, then had some ice cream, and decided not to go today. We'll hit the park tomorrow. And you, what are you doing here? Weren't you supposed to be at Vanessa's like for a girls' night?" "Oh, honey, I'll tell you all about it later. Will you eat? I'll heat up some chicken and potatoes. We'll have a little snack." After dinner, Patrick poured himself a bourbon. Nicole had some white wine, and the kids ran off to their rooms. Nicole took a sip and said, "Can you imagine? Vanessa wasn't talking about a girls' night at all. She's been working on me all week that at our age, one husband isn't enough, that it's high time to find a helper for the husband." "And what did you say?" "I said, my husband has had a helper for 11 years now. She says that at our age we need novelty in marriage, that a lover is a must, and that it will strengthen the marriage." What nonsense. And 2 days ago, she confessed she's been seeing a man her age for a couple months now. "And how often?" "I don't know, but she said as soon as Brian goes on a business trip, she spends the night at her lover's, and sometimes he at hers. Today Brian left on a trip, right?" "Yes." "So they're meeting again, and that's why you're sitting at home?" "Not exactly. This morning she called me at work and said a friend of her lover was visiting from out of town, single, with a good job and money, and suggested I meet him. She set it up at a cafe on Main." "And what did you do?" "Told her she's an idiot and hung up." "Good call." "Yeah, I know. Only how to tell Brian. He's our friend, and she's our friend too. That's the thing. I don't know how to talk sense into her because Brian will kick her out." "You should have gone to the date and talked to the lover." "What are you saying, honey? I'm a married woman. I'd lose all self-respect. Why would I throw away my family and get mixed up in my friend's nonsense? I haven't been to the country with you in 6 months because of her. I've been consoling her all this time, and she's a grown woman. She has a family and should use her own brain. And she could have confused you too. No way, I married you and I don't need another man. I have my own family and that's my priority." Patrick's phone rang. He answered. It was Brian. "Pat, where are you?" "I'm at home with Nicole having a bourbon. You know, according to the texts, she didn't go to the cafe meetup and had a fight with Vanessa." "I figured." "And where are you?" "I'm at home. I've packed Vanessa's things, just texted her when she can pick them up. Basically, you got the ball rolling. Good luck from here." Patrick hung up. Nicole asked, "Was that Brian?" "Yeah, what did he want?" "He caught Vanessa cheating. She's at her lover's place now. He packed her stuff, changed the locks, and texted when she can get her things. I think she'll be calling you now." Indeed, a few minutes later, Nicole's phone rang. It was Vanessa. Nicole answered, putting it on speaker. "Nikki, save me." "From what?" "Brian, he found out about my lover. Listen, you were so bold today. Talk such a good game about your flings that I don't even know how I can help. Tell Brian I'm with you." "But he just called Patrick, and Patrick said you weren't here." "So Pat's in the country?" "No. Apparently they didn't go, went to the movies, and just got back." "Sorry. Get yourself out of this. I told you how it could end with Brian. I don't want to argue and lie to him. By the way, what's your lover saying?" "Nothing. He wasn't counting on anything long-term, and neither was I." "But you've been meeting for 2 months." "Yeah, it's all stupidity. You're lucky. Your husband's always home, and Brian's forever on trips." "How long are his trips?" 3 days. Like my Pat in the country, he spent 3 days without me. Now I won't let him go anywhere alone. So you'll help what? Say you're with me? So when he called Pat, he said it looks like he knows your lover's address. And what did he text you? That he changed the locks. Your key won't work. You don't live here anymore. Come for your stuff tomorrow, 12 to 3. I'll file for divorce Monday. Say hi to Vincent. And who's Vincent? My lover. See, Brian even knows Vincent's name, and he's supposed to be on a trip. I know. He got up as usual, packed, called from the station, said the train's leaving. You could hear boarding in the background. I talked to him right then, texted Vincent, and he invited me to the cafe half an hour later, asked me to bring you for his friend. Me? As a prize for a friend? I didn't think you'd stoop so low. Nikki, we talked about all this in the morning. You were offended by my stupidity. But I didn't know you'd be right. Or maybe you knew all along. Well, you know, if behaving properly towards a husband and family is a setup to you, I don't want to lose Brian. I love him. You're completely crazy. If you love him, why'd you hop into bed with Vincent? I don't know. Tomorrow when you get your stuff, talk to Brian. Only whether he'll forgive you, Vanessa. I don't know how to help, and Pat won't either. The next day, Patrick met Emily near the daycare, handed his sister the kids, and explained, Sorry to put this on you, but I can't bring Emma to the cafe. What if there's a scene? And what do you want now? I don't know. When she was just an analyst, I could somehow deal with it and was ready to forgive, but now she's the CEO. She's the CEO at work, but at home she's your wife. She just has a different social circle now. Don't mess with my head. You also have an advanced degree you're hiding. Right, and I get paid more for it, and the responsibility is less. The salary was higher then. Now the value of engineers and technical staff is recognized, so you just need to bust out your diploma. All right, I'll sit with Emma at daycare tomorrow, but you go forgive your wife. Patrick arrived at the cafe half an hour early, ordered a shot of bourbon and something to nibble on. The server recognized him and quietly asked, You're not planning to douse anyone with wine today, are you? I hadn't planned on it, although the evening is young. Thank you. At the appointed time, Nicole and Jessica entered the cafe. After scanning the room, they headed to Patrick's table. And where's Emma? You didn't think I'd bring her to a showdown between us in a cafe, did you? I wanted to see her. I missed her. Sorry, I sent her home alone. I'm not you, but I took care of our kid. Jessica intervened. Stop, both of you. Why'd you come here to make a scene over nothing? Nicole, tell us how it happened. When I finished the report, Mark took it, reviewed it, and suggested we go to the cafe across from the office. Since I worked through lunch, I agreed, thinking we'd sit briefly, and I'd have time to get Emma from daycare. We got there, had some wine, but the food was delayed and I had to go. Then you called, I asked you to get Emma, waited for the food, ate fast, and ran home. But you were there, dousing Mark with my wine. I know I was wrong to lie, and I got flustered. And when Jessica punched me, I was totally out of it. Right, only I hit you not because you were supposedly fooling around with this dimwit, but because I saw fraud in the report and thought you were toasting a successful scam to take money from the company. Late that night, when I got home from the station, I rechecked your report, saw that after it was done, changes were made in 2 places, only on 2 sheets. And the next day you confirmed this. Moreover, I got those swapped sheets from the CEO's trash. He didn't even rip them up. What do you say now? What can I say? Walking home from work, I see my wife drinking wine in a cafe. I call her and find out she hasn't finished her report. What was I supposed to do? We figured out why. We're adults and get that there was no cheating, no flirting, no affair. All that's left is Nicole's lie. We know if she'd told the truth, nothing would have happened. At least not me showing up. I still would have punched Mark. And probably Nicole too. So, it's okay for you but not for me? I said if Nicole hadn't lied. But what you did made sense. It just turned out to be not what it looked like. There was no cheating, Jess. There was intentional deceit. How can I trust her today, especially now that she's CEO, which means meetings with various people, including men, to discuss supplies, sales, some contrived seminars, training, and business trips. I don't need that. I need a wife at home. Pat, I get you and your concerns. But these seminars, training, they're all here in the city. No need to travel. Suppliers and buyers who want our business will come to us to hash things out. Plus, Nicole loves you, and I don't think that after the jealousy blow-up, she'll start cheating and lying. I have another idea. What's that? Come work with us as VP or chief engineer. Isn't it a problem that we're kind of related? Labor law doesn't ban close relatives working together in a private company, even supervising each other. It's only a no-no for government jobs. How do you know I can be chief engineer? Even Nicole doesn't know that. I know. I looked into it. You were deputy chief engineer at a huge company. There was an accident. People died, and you got blamed. From what I gathered, they were grooming you for chief. You tried to fight it, then they said they'd just put you in jail. In the end, they barred you from executive roles for 5 years. 5 years passed ages ago. There was actually no one at fault. Equipment failure. Production should have been halted, which is exactly what the chief and I demanded. They didn't listen. The chief even ended up hospitalized with a heart attack, and I took over his duties when the accident happened. Why have you never told me this? Why would I? I'm not proud of it, and you had enough worries. I didn't realize where you got your deep grasp of production, but that's not all I want to say. What do you want to say? That I forgive you for the lie. I won't let myself do it again. I'm asking you to come home. If you take Jessica's offer, I'd be happy to work with you. If for you to come home with Emma means I have to quit my job, I'll do it. No, hold on. I don't need that kind of sacrifice. I don't have anyone else to count on at the company. So Patrick, take my offer. Quit your old job and take either position I mentioned. Nicole, don't even think of quitting. You owe me. For what? Who took my husband and got drunk with him in this cafe? Jess, he invited me himself. I don't know, but in fact, because of this, I'm divorcing my husband. Jessica, you're divorcing him because he tried to rob you. That too. In the end, Patrick returned home with his daughter. Nicole kept working as CEO, never allowing even the slightest lie in her marriage. Patrick did start as chief engineer under contract. He reported to the founder. Jessica, with great difficulty using her brother's connections, managed to track down Mark to drag him to the county clerk and file for divorce. After that, Mark vanished again.